that was a good deal Andrew done for us.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
I wasn't born, but.
That proves that you're listening. If you're...
That was important. Tell me when you're ready. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Like, would you join us for Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first scheduled, we need the consent agenda. Want to make a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
And who was first?
I was.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Same motion. Okay, scheduled sessions is Linda Swoley, Tax and Deed Specialist at the Auditor's Office. A board meeting as trustees of CNR Levy and Coulter Levy District. One is approval of minutes, January 10th of 2023 for the Coulter Levy District and the CNR Levy District.
I'll move that.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Same motion? Thank you. Okay, next up, Linda, is discussion under decision to approve invoice from Bolton and Menk Inc. for the crop damage due to the construction to landowners. Our phone's on, isn't that?
I got it on, it was working for me, I heard it, but I asked John if he's on. He might have trouble pushing buttons or something on his phone.
He was gonna speak to us about this.
Don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh.
yeah, there you are.
Well, let me turn you up a little bit. Speak a little louder,
I'm not getting
John.
any feedback through the phone, so I'm
Can you hear us?
sorry. I can hear you on YouTube. I cannot hear you on the phone.
Huh,
Did you push star?
I'm trying to make this work.
John, did you push star on your phone?
Yeah, let me get really hot.
And then one to unmute.
Yeah, I still can't hear you. I can hear my echo on the YouTube, but I'll go ahead and explain here the crop damages for Don Brothers. This is to close out the original Coulthard project. I know, Brian, you mentioned that there's some new members on the board that may need some background there. That is a levee district that extends through the DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge in Harrison and Potawatomi counties, the northwest corner of the county. That project, for a myriad of reasons, ended up stalling, but as part of it, we had purchased easement from Don Brothers, a landowner in that area, and we had done some damage to land off easement, hauling the dirt from that borrow site to the ring levee repair that we were fixing from the 2011 flood. We had paid some restoration costs prior to the 2022 growing season, but we did not adjust for the actual crop damages between 2021 and 2022. We had addressed those in a previous report, and that report is attached to your packet, saying that needed to be dealt with at the end of the project, and that's where we're at. Don farms for his property as well as the auto property adjacent to his ground. These costs would cover the reduced yields on his property due to the stripping of topsoil that occurred during that Coulthard project. This would make him whole for those 2 years, and then we are intending with the upcoming CNR levy to purchase the additional area as right-of-way for that district, and so we wouldn't have any damages from that point forward. This recommendation, the 9,135, is to close out that Coulthard project and allow us to close those funds, send them back to the state, and transfer them to that CNR levy project.
Questions?
Yeah, where are the funds for that, John?
The funds for this portion still rest with Harrison County until this is completed. This is the final expense under that Coulthard project, and then those funds would all be made available to the CNR, which Pot County is now administering.
Okay.
How much is left, John?
Exact dollars, I don't know. I know that we were at 2.8 million as of last fall. This plus the final release of retainage for PCI, which happened in, I believe, December. Plus, there would have been some archaeology. I'm not sure if that one is coming out of the CNR project or the Coulthard yet. It should be coming out of the Coulthard, should be coming out of the CNR. I would estimate we're probably around 2.6, 2.7 million left.
John, does that sound about right?
That number,
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, where's the 9 number that he said that?
The 900, it's,
What'd you say we owed Brothers for
9135.
9135? That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, Don Brothers 75% and Otto
that's the
25%.
last sentence.
Yeah,
Pardon?
Well, it might be two different numbers. One was 75% of the 9 and the other's 25% of the 9. So you might find. You might find two different numbers on your.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 6,851.25 would go to Don Brothers, and the remainder, 2,283.75 would go to the auto property.
Okay, well, I just don't see those numbers in this letter. The one letter has a number of recommended release of 3750 and borrow from Otto for 2008-75.
That is an attachment to the report that's in front of you today. That one is dated August 4th of 2021. That was
So do I need to go?
The final payment for Don Brothers and the auto farm for their easements.
So do I need to go down
This
further?
is a separate expense paying for the crop damages resulting from that project.
There's a Bolton and Bank letterhead dated
Yeah.
January
Okay.
26th. And the last, the second to last sentence in the third paragraph talks about the 9,000.
26. Total loss of 9135. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I see it now.
Okay.
So what do you need from us, John?
Harrison County's already approved it and submitting to their claims. We just need approval from this board member.
Okay.
For this one, I just need an approval of that payment, 9135 split 75 and 25.
Payment to be made by Harrison County. They have the funds, right?
Yes.
I'll move that for you, Brian.
Okay.
Second?
Motion to approve. And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Anyone disapprove? Same. Motion move. Okay. Our next thing, on my scratch minutes, I did not get to the approval of the January 10th meetings for the Coulter Levy District and CNR Levy District. Would anybody make a motion to approve that? I needed to back up.
We did do that.
We did that.
We did?
Yeah,
I did not.
it went really quick.
Was I here?
Yeah, you called it with a motion.
Okay,
I got it written down.
I didn't have it on my scratch minutes, so. Okay, number 3, discussion and or decision to approve invoice from Bolton and Mink.
No.
Have we done that?
We did.
John
We did
Thomas,
too.
Director. We're done with them.
We're done with, you can adjourn yours.
No,
Yeah.
he's got the discussion, decision to approve
We
of,
got one more thing.
Invoice for Bolton and Mink.
Oh,
No,
no,
the contractor's
What the
application
heck is going on?
It didn't, it looks like it didn't get on our,
It did not get on our scratch minutes.
that was,
It's
are
on the-
you,
The agenda.
says discussion and decision to approve report of off-site fill material for,
I got that over here, but not here.
Right.
So,
but we can go ahead and do it. It was
Okay.
posted. So I'll have to scratch it in here without,
John, you got that? You gonna discuss that with us?
hopefully you didn't leave.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
So the
like,
the report in front of you is for the acquisition of fill material for the CNR levy. Sorry, my phone is delayed about 30 seconds.
Did he hang up?
he just hung up his hand phone. He's just gonna talk through the YouTube, I guess. I don't know.
You can give him that number, Brian, he can call in there. If we can get him back.
John, are you still there?
Wait 30 seconds.
That's not gonna work.
Do you have John's cell number, Linda? He can call this. What's the number
Yeah, his
on?
mobile is 515.
Hold on.
All right, let's try this. Is this
Oh,
Oh,
wait.
there it is.
Yes, it is. What a pain.
Can you just call my cell directly? This is not working very well.
Can you help with that, Brian?
have him call us.
You wanna call us, John?
It's easier if you call him.
Okay, what's his cell?
515
Yep,
460
460.
9699.
Yeah, what's the direct number?
Hold on, we're calling you.
Nothing.
Down there.
Is it ringing?
No, I didn't.
You got it, Scott.
I did not know that.
Put it on speaker for a second.
Where's this?
You push dial.
Please enter your password, followed by the pound key.
What's our password?
Followed by the pound key.
Password incorrect. Please enter your password followed by the pound key.
Well, at least there's a little comedy in it.
Password incorrect. Please enter your password.
Change it.
Oh,
Change your password.
Put that on a post-it note.
John, can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, good. We had a hell of a time there. Okay, you want to explain this to everybody?
Yes, yep. So in front of you should be a letter dated March 9th of 2023. So to carry on from the Coulter discussion earlier, the Coulter levy was established last fall or December to relocate a levy outside of the DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge along the east side, down the east line of the Nobles Lake state ground, and connect to the Vanman levee south of DeSoto Avenue in Potawatomi County. One of the aspects of that project is about 300,000 yards of fill that at the hearing was planned to be taken from borrow sites located on, again, the Brothers and Otto properties in the center of the district. We knew at that time that we were going to struggle to get enough fill from those areas because of the water table. It would be close, but it was not the perfect answer. We actually included some fill coming from an anticipated dredging of Nobles Lake, also adjacent to the new CNR levee. We've since found out from the DNR that is not planned, and so while we have enough dirt to build the core of the levee, we would not have enough dirt to build what was proposed. This dirt we were made aware of out of Blair. They're reconstructing, I believe it's Highway 30. I'm not exactly sure which highway over there, but one of the highways is being reconstructed through the hills, and the contractor is looking to dispose of about 600,000 yards of fill material, about double what the CNR would need. We made contact with the subcontractor disposing of that dirt, and they were willing to just deliver it and distribute it to 3 stockpiles located along the length of the levee. I believe the last page of your map, or last page of your packet has a map, 2 maps showing the anticipated stockpile locations. Getting the dirt out of the ground and placed in those stockpiles throughout the site will reduce the cost later for hauling material along the levee. Number one, because it's out of the ground and away from the water table. Number 2, it's already distributed. There are other benefits as well, but we've started out with a cost analysis comparing what we had in our estimate, roughly $3 million for the fill and transport and acquisition of the borrow area to get the material for that proposed levee, and then our estimate of what the cost of bringing in this material from Blair would be. So if you look at the table there, offsite material, that's the actual trucking that we paid to the subcontractor for hauling, $8.05 a yard. We would still want some local borrow as a cushion against final quantity, just so we don't run short at the end of the day. We've included costs for on-site transport. Again, it's going to be easier to maneuver than pulling it out of the wet subsoil. It's already up on the ground and dry, easy to access, so it should be less. Included their stockpile rent and damage. That's for the areas we're actually piling the dirt. I've spoken to one landowner, and he was willing to work with us, but he had some changes on location. And finally, road damages. Since it is a public road, we can use it for transport, but we will be causing significant damage, so we want to include some costs in there to help restore those gravel roads during construction and afterwards, as well as any damages done to DeSoto Avenue, which is a seal coat road. And I've had a little bit of correspondence this morning with John Rasmussen, so we're getting that conversation underway about timing and what some of that maintenance would look like. So all told, that'll be about $3.4 million. But I do acknowledge right there, and we'll talk about this in just a second. There's a second letter that includes 54,000 cubic yards extra for farmable slopes on the south end of the levee. These were not included in the original project, and that adds about $500,000. I'll wait on that one until we finish this first report, and we'll discuss that as a separate item because I think it's an important discussion that needs to be had. So if you go to page 2 of the letter, I've enumerated several benefits there. In my mind, the material is going to be better. It's going to be more consistent, and we've locked in the price for the dirt. The numbers that I had in my estimate from December are just that, they're estimates. We don't know exactly what inflation has done since the last large levy contract went out 2 years ago. I believe that I was conservative, but it's hard to say exactly where those numbers would come in today. At the $8.05 that S&C is willing to truck it to the site, we've locked in the vast majority of our dirt costs, and we're down to the relatively minor costs of transporting along the levee, as discussed earlier. Another important item, as I said, we weren't confident that we'd have enough dirt in the Brothers and Otto easements. This will ensure that there's plenty of material to get the levee built, and that we're not scrounging for material later and searching for material at a higher price, essentially. And in my mind, the most important item, $2 million of the state funding comes from a fund called the RIF, Rebuilding Iowa Infrastructure Fund. That has a deadline of June 30th for being spent. If that money is not spent, it goes back to the state, and we can't have it for the project. It's just gone. Transporting this material in will cover that and still keep us below the total available state funds, the 4.8 that we started with in, I'll say in August. So we'd be able to meet that state funding deadline and still not spend any of the landowners' money. We do then follow up that discussion with the state funding summary on page 3. We do not have all the state funding that we were expecting to receive. There were several conversations with state employees who felt that there would be money available, state legislators that thought that money would be coming this direction, and it has not. So at the moment, we have a shortfall of about $2 million. If we're not able to secure that additional funding from somewhere within the state of Iowa, that cost is going to fall to the landowners. I do give a summary of how that breaks down. That there is options to spread that over up to 20 years under drainage law, but that's still a fairly hefty bill to put on those landowners. And so there are efforts underway to make contact with. We've had conversations with Dave Seek. There are efforts to contact other state legislators. But I think from the landowner's perspective, that is a major concern that needs to be addressed. And honestly, if we go the route of trying to build this levee with putting these $2 million in landowners' funds into it, I believe that there should be another hearing so the landowners are made aware of that. At that hearing, we did not include state funding in the actual cost estimate, but one of the landowners did point out that the notice did say that the project would be covered by state funds. So we would need to clarify that before we start dipping into those private funds, just to make sure that we're acting in good faith with the landowners.
John Rasmussen, do you feel that money for the road repair is sufficient?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question.
Okay.
I'm glad they're considering it, and they've been good to work with in the past.
Okay, good.
So, John,
Yes.
you got a deadline for this $2 million of June 30th, 2023?
Yes.
So
For 2 million out of the 4.8.
of
The original 2.8 is a different program and does not have that same sunset deadline.
so what is the goal, or what do you have to accomplish to get that done by June 30, 2003? Just get the dirt moved there, or what has to be done with the levee district?
Yeah, essentially only the dirt being trucked on site would cover that. We still have the damages, and I will note the damages there are an estimate. We'll have a corrected number once we get to the end of the project and work with John and Steve Struble from Harrison County. But those would cover that. We have had discussions about if we just bring in the dirt from the south end and construct the south end, there's actually enough funding available at 4.8 to complete that, which would mean we do not import material for the north end at this time, and we do not construct anything at the north end. That north end, while necessary, is much less critical. The levee is not nearly as tall as the ridge itself naturally is higher. So while not ideal, that is a fairly minor risk. It would take a very massive flood on the scale of either the early 2019 or the 2011 floods to put water through that low spot up there. Getting the levee at the south end would be far more critical to prevent flooding in this area. And there are sufficient funds to bring in all the dirt necessary for that south end and build that south end up to 335th Street in Harrison County, which again is the most vulnerable portion of that area left.
What's your recommendation? Put you on the spot.
I don't know. I fallen between several different items I think that are the most critical. I do think if we are going to prioritize getting something built and not having a mound of stockpile potentially left sitting out in somebody's field, I would say let's prioritize importing dirt for that south end and building the levee on the south end. If we can track down more funding for the north from the state, or we can have a second hearing with the landowners to get their approval on spending landowner funds for that north end, I think that solves the most pressing issues and still keeps the cost of the landowners to a minimum.
I think that's the most important.
Yeah, so just to clarify what I said, my recommendation, I think, at the moment would be to import the dirt for the south end and get the south end built, and then work on funding for the north end, which is less risk.
How far out is that money, do you think, for the north end? That's a good question.
Yeah, we were under the impression from a few different sources that the funding would have already been available. So the confusion that we have, or the reason that there's consternation about we thought we had money and now we don't, is there were discussions with the state that they didn't have all the money in one pot. They had this $2 million available in RIF fund that they could give to the district. And then they had the separate account at Homeland Security. This is all my recollection, so I could be off on some of the details, but this money was in a separate account within Homeland Security. And Homeland Security had given the Flood Mitigation Board, who gave the initial money to all these districts, authorization, or gave them the authority to disperse this $1.5 million. The board had intended to, or had made that discussion, but when they went to look at the account, that money had been diverted in the state appropriation and no longer existed. So that's where we're at. Our $1.5 million shortfall plus the 500,000 that we'll discuss here in a little bit. That's how we get to the $2 million total shortfall. So it appeared at one point that we had the funding we needed, and lo and behold, when it came time to get that money, it was not there.
I guess I see the ability to grab the same consistency in soil would be a big factor in grabbing that soil at this time. See what I mean?
Yes, that is honestly a major reason why we wanted to at least reach out and try to make this work. That has been the biggest issue with any of these repairs down here, is finding material that's consistent and of a substantial enough quantity to get these levees built. We can really build a levee out of just about anything. It's just care about where that different material gets placed within the levee cross section. But to have uniform, good dirt that you can compact in a consistent manner is going to make that levee significantly better than what we could find from material out in that area. It's always just comes down to cost and availability. We typically don't have 600,000 yards even available to be able to pull out of. So there's a number of factors that made us at least jump at this.
I understand. Questions?
I have a question.
Speak loud so he can hear you.
I have a question. The flooding that occurred in the past, was that because of the failure of levees that were in place, or there were no levees there?
The flooding that occurred in the past is the failure of existing levees at that time. There were low spots in several of these levees. They hadn't been maintained. I don't want to get into the specifics of the background there, but the 2011 flood overtopped the Coulthard and the Vanman levees at several locations, creating massive scour holes and allowing that water to flow through. Those two districts were not able to make those repairs to get those holes closed up after 2011, and 2019 came back through those same gaping holes. Those holes are all now closed, both on the Vanman and on the Coulthard. So there is some levee protection provided by the Coulthard levee, but it is not sufficient for another massive flood. They are enough to stop, smaller events that are more likely to happen here in the next coming years, but they're not going to stop anything close to, say, 2019 long term.
They're a total of 2 foot shorter than what we need, correct?
Yes.
And how many landowners were affected? Do you have a number and acres that were affected?
So the CNR levee incorporates about 11,000 acres, and they get varying levels of flooding throughout those 11,000 acres. The number of landowners, I don't know exactly, but I believe it was somewhere around, I want to say around, well, no, because I'm counting differently there. I would guess somewhere around 50 different landowners, maybe more. I don't know the exact number of landowners.
Now, the southern levees that you're talking about building first, that's to negate any flooding issues in the future. Is that correct? Or maybe not necessarily the 100-year floods, but basically what would normally be expected? And then the northern side.
So the Vanman levee that we're tying into is actually above the 100-year flood, and we are tying in at the same elevation and carrying that north. So we actually would be above a 100-year flood as of today.
Okay.
We are aware that the Corps is revising the flood frequency curves, and they're going to go up significantly. So after that occurs, we will no longer be above the 100-year flood.
But the southern end just requires no additional funding at this time. It's the northern end that you're talking about, looking for more money. Is that what I'm hearing?
The southern end we would be able to complete in its entirety. That levee averages somewhere around 8 to 10 feet in height over its length. The north end is much smaller. That's the portion we would hold off on, and that one, for the most part, is around 2 to 3 feet, with some areas getting up to 5. So as I said earlier, it's a much less critical levee just due to the natural height of that existing riverbank, the old riverbank that it sits on. So closing up the south one would be a much more substantial protection to those lands than the north end at this time.
If money's an issue,
It's, now, all these funds are coming out of the funding from these levies, correct? From the state?
From the state, yes.
Or just trustees as
okay.
levy trustees?
John, how much money is available?
Say that again.
How much money is available and where is it?
So as of right now, there is around, I think Linda confirmed, about 2.7 million left of the flood recovery fund, which was funded in 2019 to restore levees after that flood. So 2.7 million there, just over $2 million in RIF funding, that Rebuilding Iowa Infrastructure Fund. Both of those funds are held at the state, and the county, on behalf of the levy district, makes withdrawals from those as expenses come in.
Okay, so we have money to move forward with at least the southern part? The county doesn't have to front any of that either, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That reef money has to be spent by June 30.
In all likelihood, is the timing for the dirt moving acceptable? I mean, is it gonna happen on time?
Well, the biggest issue, I think, will be the DeSoto Avenue. Again, that was part of the discussion with John Rasmussen this morning. DeSoto Avenue, with the frost coming out, probably will not hold up to the truck traffic to get the dirt to that south end. So that right now is the only real hiccup. We have confirmed with the Army Corps that as long as we place the stockpile material on upland, we can go ahead and move it, and they will get us a letter this week saying no permit is required. We are outside the floodway, so the DNR floodplain rules won't have any issue with it. So regulatory-wise, we'll be in the clear. The contractor is looking to move dirt as soon as he can, so he's waiting on all of these pieces to fall into place.
Okay.
Has Harrison County did anything with this yet, Linda? No. What do you want the motion to be, John? Do you want to move forward with the RIF funds and do the southern part of the levy?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. I believe that's the best option. So let's go with that. Motion to import the dirt for the south portion with efforts to be made towards completing that section first.
Where you stockpiling that at?
It's on the maps down there.
So we have spoken with Frank Wagner at the south end. He'll accurate our next letter. He has asked if that material will be stockpiled at his old acreage site on the northeast corner of his property. So we'd be on about a half mile of DeSoto Avenue and then traveling up the private lane on that between he and Kensinger. And then there'll be a second stockpile site over on the east side of the lake on the McIntosh property. Those are shown the last page of your packet.
Okay.
So in that map, the stockpile site on Frank Wagner is down to the southeast corner. Again, he asked us to move that up to the north portion of the property.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
So you want a motion to move forward on the southern part of the levee project and approval to spend the 2 million of the RIF funds?
Yes.
I'll move that for you.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to move on the south end of this levy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, what else you got, John?
Okay, so the final thing is my letter dated March 13th, 2023. I just got this to Linda this morning, but it ties very much into the discussion we just had. So part of the original proposal for the CNR was that the levees would have 3-to-1 side slopes throughout, except for the north end, which, as I mentioned, was much shorter. Because of how small that levee was, we had recommended that the land side of that levee have a flatter slope to be made farmable, because it more or less just protects against the most extreme situations. That would keep the levee generally in repair. In discussing the right-of-way with Frank Wagner, which a right-of-way hearing will be coming up here at some point in the next couple months, he very much stressed that he would like to have a farmable slope on his property. Now, his property is much lower relative to the flood than those lands up north. And the cost of putting in a farmable slope as he requested is about $500,000, which is not insignificant. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what was implied to me was if a farmable slope was given to him, he likely would not sue the district for additional right-of-way. Now, I get the concept of not wanting to get sued. Nobody wants to get sued. Nobody wants to be appealed. In drainage law, when we buy that right-of-way, the joint board together would approve whatever they believe is the right compensation for that right-of-way. And if the landowner is unhappy, they can appeal that to district court, and that district court will set that value where they believe it should be if the board with the input of appraisers did not get that high enough. In my mind, that process and the additional costs would be less than $100,000. Mr. Wagner is asking for an additional $500,000. In the interest of being fair to Mr. Wagner, we're already short on money for the project. If he is not getting an 8-to-1, it may be better that the district eliminate the farmable slope on the upper end, so he doesn't have an argument that somebody else is being treated preferentially. If we were to eliminate that farmable slope on the north end, that would eliminate about $300,000 in additional costs. Potentially, we could eliminate almost $1 million in costs from the project by getting rid of this farmable slope. It was put in an effort to have as little impact on landowners as we could, where we could, but it appears that it's just caused confusion and seeking of excess, I would call them damages in essence. So for clarifying the whole project, I would recommend eliminating the farmable slope throughout the whole district and save the $800,000 in total. But as I said, Frank did not say he would sue, but he said that if he got the farmable slope, he likely would not sue. He did not think he would sue.
This document that you sent us, is this not for us? It's Palo Alto County?
Yes, I sent the incorrect one. I sent a corrected one, and apparently that didn't get passed on quickly enough.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
No, we don't have a corrected one. We have the Palo Alto one.
You don't have the one from March 13th?
No.
The
No.
last one?
I don't.
Those are Linda's emails this morning.
Sorry, I was in a rush to get it to Linda this morning, and I grabbed the wrong scanned document out of my email. So I apologize for that.
John, let me ask you a question. Is this time sensitive, this decision?
This one is not, other than it would bring in, we just approved doing the south end, that would bring in 54,000 extra cubic yards of dirt to that south end. That dirt will take time to get there, and so we do have some time. I feel like that decision is best addressed at a right-of-way hearing. And we just met with the appraisers yesterday. So we're hoping to get that hearing for the right-of-way scheduled later this month or in April. And I think that would line up fairly well with when we need to have that decision made.
Okay.
At that point, the Harrison and Potawatomi boards would be in the same room for that hearing, and we can actually have that conversation and have Mr. Wagner there.
That would be a better program.
Let's push this off,
Yes,
John, until,
we're
number
all
one,
together.
we can get some more information on it and know what we're talking about, get the exact date of the letter that you sent, have it correct, and then, take a look at it at a later date.
Yes, no, I agree with that. I just wanted to get this to you because I discussed that dollar amount in my March 9 letter, and I wanted to clarify what that was.
Okay,
Okay.
so right now, you're gonna start moving dirt pretty soon.
Yes, and as soon as we get the okay from, I still need the approval from Harrison County. I still need, I need the okay from the Army Corps with their letter. And I do need to notify the two landowners on the south end. Frank may not be happy that no decision was made on this 8-1. And we'll have to just deal with that when and if that occurs.
Okay.
How many days of dirt hauling do they think they're gonna have if everything goes good?
I did not ask that question. Let's do some quick math here. 140,000 yards. That's about, depending on how they do it, that South Barrow site would be about 7,500 to 8,000 trucks. When they did Honey Creek, they had as many as 20 trucks running a day. Let's see, let's do. So if they do 20 a day, that's 390 days. So they're going to be, well, that's 20 trucks. They made multiple trips. 90 trips per. Sorry, I'm doing math on the fly. I shouldn't do that. I apologize.
Well, you got till June 30th to spend the
That's
money.
80 trips. 390 over 4. About 90 days.
Okay. Well,
Better start hauling this afternoon.
Clock's running.
Yeah. And that 90 days actually will line up better with John's concerns on DeSoto Avenue. He had asked that we try to hold that off until late April when the grounds finally warm up and our frost is out.
April,
So we
May,
prioritize
June.
doing the northern Barrow site on Macintoshes, and that probably would line up fairly well then for DeSoto Avenue being safe to drive.
Okay. Well, thanks for the info, and let's all get together and with the other county and figure this out, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Thanks for your time, John.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
John Erickson, that all sound kosher?
That's pretty accurate, I think.
Okay.
We did the evaluation yesterday on the properties as far as paying for them, and we came up with about an average of $165 CSR rate.
Okay.
So all the property together is gonna be just under 500,000, 497, 468.51.
Okay.
So, we met yesterday with Jacob, one of the other engineer with John, and we toured it and spent all afternoon doing that and figuring out all these. And that's what we figured was probably gave them a little bit more, not much more than what the actual values was, but we thought that might save having to go to condemnation hearing to get it, because you don't want to do that, you don't have to, and
Will you be at the meeting with Bott County and Harrison County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this extra money, it's a long story, but I mean, we need, the legislature's got a lot of money to deal with, and they've been kind of holding it back and I don't know why, because we appropriated, I'm on the mitigation board, we appropriated the money, and it went back from the mitigation board back into the general fund a year ago. And we kinda we asked where that money went to, and nobody really knows. I know, I think I know.
Oh, what fun, huh?
Yeah, and, kind of a political problem, actually.
Okay, John, thanks for being here. We'll look for you at that other meeting.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
One, real quick. Okay, you guys been at this for quite a while, this flooding issue especially on Potawatomi County. Whose fault are we looking at? Are we looking at an increase in normal rainfall, or is it the Corps of Engineers that control the water levels? I mean, I've been, kind of partaking on this a little bit, and I understand the Corps of Engineers has a lot of blame for the issues we have with the Missouri River. Wait, we right to say that or not?
The only thing I would say is the issues that are facing our flooding problems here are out of our control. All we can do is try to fix the holes in the levees, raise them up to a level that'll let us, and the rest is up to them.
That's probably a good way to put it.
I'm not putting the blame on anybody. Okay, Hungry
Yeah.
Canyons, Brian.
Yes, John Thomas, Director, Hungry Canyons Alliance. Presentation on Hungry Canyons Alliance Program. John, you're up. It took a long time, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, so I don't wanna.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
We should probably adjourn as,
Oh,
so that you have it.
on your minutes,
That we adjourned
I'll
as
entertain a motion to adjourn from the,
CNR levy go-through
We
district.
didn't even go in.
Yeah, we did.
that's when we
Minutes will
started.
show that you did.
So show that we
Got a
adjourned.
motion to adjourn?
Yep, I'll
Need a
make that
second?
motion.
Second?
Miller seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Linda,
back
we
to our
adjourn.
regular meeting. John Thomas, Hungry Canyons.
Yeah, so the last time I came to this board was back in January 2019. There's been a lot of turnover on all of the supervisor boards in my 19 counties. And so my executive committee asked that I come out and just share with you guys what Hungry Canyons does, what we're up to, see if you have any questions. We've already requested your $5,000 dues from you already this year, so this is simply an educational visit. Hungry Canyons was formed back in 1992 started here in Pot County and Shelby County, because we straighten our streams and we have deep less soils. Two of those things don't mesh well, and our streams all degraded, down cut. And so we have a lot of infrastructure. We basically have a county road on each side of every square mile. And with less soils, you have a high drainage density, so that means there's a lot of stream and road interactions. And so anytime a stream is unstable and down cutting, you have the chance that county infrastructure is going to be at risk. And so that's why Hungry Canyons came into existence. And in the 28 years that Hungry Canyons has been around, Pot County has got $1.28 million from us for grade control structures, another $319,000 for as EDP cost share. So like after the 2008 event and after the 2019 event, we were declared a disaster area by the feds, and so we got EWP funds, Emergency Watershed Protection Funds. So that money came to us at 75% cost share. Hungry Canyons put in 10%, so the county only had to put in 15%. With the other cost share, it's 80% Hungry Canyons, 20% county.
Thanks, John.
We have a meeting on Friday in Atlantic. And I don't know, normally we have a representative from Pot County there. Lynn Groby was the representative in the past. I think, Jeff, you're the the representative now. And then, so I'm just here as an educational visit, so,
Okay,
I don't, you had a lot of time taken right there, so I don't wanna take any more, time, so.
a little longer than we planned.
Yeah,
Just two real quick questions, if I can. The other counties that are actually active in the Hungry Canyon Alliance, do they also throw in $5,000?
Yep.
Give me the names of the four that don't. I know one of them's Woodbury. Who's the other ones?
no, Woodbury does,
Woodbury does?
yeah, so, you got a handout?
I do.
Yeah, so the front page of that handout, there's 4 gray counties
Yeah.
up in the northwest. Those are the ones that don't. So
Yeah.
that would be Lyon, Sioux, Cherokee, and Sac that don't. And they were, in the original documentation through the state, the code, they were included. But that was way back in the late 80s. And so by the time, we get better soils data and all this, that we know that they don't really have the problem. So they were originally part of the original organization code, but they don't need Hungry Canyons.
Okay, so there's no money spent in those counties?
No, never.
All right, awesome.
They've never been members.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Any other questions? When's your meeting?
Friday.
This Friday? Jeff, you got that down?
Yep.
Where's it at?
In Atlantic, the Pizza
Okay.
Ranch.
All right.
We're gonna hear from the Corps and Iowa State. They're doing 2 presentations for us.
John Rasmussen, you go to those, don't you?
Some, haven't been very good about it lately.
Okay.
How often you guys meet then?
Quarterly.
Pardon?
Quarterly.
Quarterly?
So we have 2 educational meetings a year in December and March, and then 2 tours in various counties in June and September.
Okay.
Are you seeing damage by our varmints that we put bounties on?
Beavers? No, actually, it's, it's hard to imagine, but we build grid control structures, if you're out in the county on the downstream side of a bridge, you see the riffle. I don't know how many times I've seen a beaver built the dam on top of our structure to make the pond higher. They love it. So it doesn't affect the structure. Eventually the beaver dam will wash out and the structure still's there.
Huh.
But yeah, I guess we're not building them high enough.
Okay.
So you're meeting 10 o'clock in Atlantic?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got on my schedule, got Honey Creek District and Pigeon Creek District. That's you guys?
No.
This is for Friday too.
Friday's here for but that's for those drainage districts, which you are not a trustee of.
Okay, gotcha.
They're just here, and they'll be meeting here for that consolidation of Pigeon Creek and Honey Creek.
Okay, but you have a card?
Not with me. But all my information's in the packet.
Okay, gotcha, all
And
right.
I sent that to Melvin, and so.
Where's your meeting at?
To Jeanette.
Okay.
Where's your meeting at in Atlantic?
At the Pizza Ranch.
And
The
at
Pizza
what-
Ranch,
At what time? At what
10
time?
o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
But if you ever get a chance to go on one of those tours, it's really educational and you learn a lot.
Some of us went on that tour of the East Pot soil and water.
Some structures you looked at
Yep.
out there, I don't know.
Yeah, you looked at 1 or 2 structures on that tour also.
That was neat. Okay, John, thank you for coming in.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
Your 5,000 did get budgeted, so.
Oh, yeah,
You're
thank
good
you.
to go.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Yep.
Matt Wyand, Director of Planning and Development with Bob Means. Discussion and/or decision to move forward on development of an agreement for funding of road in Stony Brook Housing Addition. Good morning, gentlemen.
Bob's got some handouts for you to show you the proposed housing subdivision he came to us with. Today, what we really need to go ahead from the Board of Supervisors for is to start working on a developer's agreement with Al Harris and Clooney's, our attorneys. And then, once we get the development agreement nailed down, that comes back to the Board of Supervisors for approval of signatures to move forward with. I'll turn it over to Bob to talk about the rest. Yeah, thanks.
So as I've
You're doing
spoken,
this in 2 phases, correct?
2 phases, yeah. Right now, we're just trying to get phase one going for now. I've had a chance to talk to some of you, not all of you, but, the property's off of Highway 92, 3.5 miles east of Council Bluffs, or from Iowa School for the Deaf. That's what the first couple of maps are showing. So basically, for me to get this project going, I'm asking that the county help and pay for the construction of the streets. I will pay for everything else. Towards the back of the handout there, I've got a cost estimate from Olmsted and Perry Consulting Engineers that shows basically the cost, of everything going in. And then down below, I've had the additional costs that they didn't figure. Surveying, Mid-American Energy, Black Hills, Cox Cable, getting all that in there, and then the total value of the project.
So Bob, that, to get into this new phase, you're gonna be coming off of, one of the roads that are currently there.
I'm gonna be coming off of, Stonegate Lane will continue. I left an outlot there when we did Stony Brook, subdivision, phase 4. There's an outlot there that we're gonna come through.
Okay. And it's my understanding that you're looking at, some assistance for the road. According to your estimate, you have about 280, let's just call it $300,000 to build the road.
I got,
I'm looking at the construct 7-inch.
well, then you have to add the cul-de-sacs as well, which is 73,500.
So you're looking at 350.
Yeah, and then they put a 20% contingency on it too. So if you put a contingency on it, it goes to 425,000. But yes, the cost estimate is lower than that. And from my point of view, I'm not asking for a fixed amount. Whatever the road comes in, I mean, if it's lower than the 425, then that's what I'm asking the county to pay. I'm not trying to profit anything from if the bids come in lower than this.
Matt, how do we do the other road over here, the Stone Gate?
Stonegate Lane, we didn't have anything to do with that portion of the housing subdivision. We've done this before with Armstrong Development off of 192nd Street. That was a combination of RISE grant funds and impact funds that we have here at Potawatomi County that paid for those streets.
Is there any grant dollars available for this?
We won't have any luck trying to find any grant dollars for roads like this. It's not, it's not low to moderate income housing. There's no businesses or anything going in there that's gonna employ anybody. But what we would be adding to Potawatomi County is, a number of high-end homes, which is what people are looking for in this area. You're probably a minimum of $500,000 for a home in an area like this on up.
For sure 500,000. On the last sheet I gave you, I did like a cost estimate for the payback. I mean, the payback for the county is gonna be through, increased property values. So I kind of broke all that down. I estimated, $550,000 valuation per house, which I think's.
I think that's a little conservative, but I think I did some homework on it yesterday, and I'm in the $47,000 to $50,000 a year is what it would bring in to the county for taxes. Matt, if we go back to the funding part, how much money do we have in the impact fund?
Right around 106,000.
How much?
106,000.
Do we get some of that paid back through the TIF on the Armstrong parcel?
We do. We're set to receive $54,500 a year right now, and we can collect that up to $900,000.
Okay. Have we started collecting it yet?
This will be the first year that we start collecting.
So then we have 160,000 available. We have 106 in there, you said, and it's gonna generate 54.
Right.
So we have 160, right? Did secondary roads get any of that impact money?
That was the account that we utilized when John paid the bills for the road on 192nd.
How much was that?
Oh, John, I don't know.
We spent right at 600,000 out of that fund.
How much?
600,000.
Out of the impact fund? We're gonna get reimbursed for that. That was part of the project, right?
We will be able to reimburse the funds through the TIF on the Armstrong development, yes.
Okay.
The agreement that we have on the Armstrong development for the TIF agreement with that, the city council has signed off on that. We're allowed to collect up to $900,000 in TIF funds. Once we hit $900,000 in TIF funds, we have to stop. And
What's the, does that impact fund have any kind of a priority status in payback on the TIF? Can that come first?
it does come first.
It does come first.
Yeah, so anything over, so once it crests past 54,500 a year in taxable valuation coming in from the Armstrong development, Armstrong developments are set to receive, the overage back up to $108,000 that they paid for their water line. So that developer is gonna get reimbursed, but the county gets reimbursed first, then the developer will get reimbursed. Now, it's a TIF on an industrial district, so it goes longer than a TIF on a housing.
How long is that?
We can go 20 years, we can go up
After
to.
20-year TIF?
Well, it won't take that long.
Right. There's so much, it's built out now.
Correct.
It's gonna have a lot of taxable valuation, that's coming in from that area.
If, Bob, if the county was to participate and provide some funding for that road, how fast can it be built, and how fast can homes start to be built on those lots?
Well, hope will start getting built as soon as the final plat's approved. Conservatively, if you put 3 houses a year, it only takes 4 years, there's only 12 lots there. I think it'll probably go faster than that.
Will you build on all of them, or will some of them get sold?
I'd like to build a couple a year and sell a couple a year, to be honest with you, and if it lasts 3 years, then the more I build, obviously, that's my business, so through the houses, I would make more money, but, I just wanna try to get it, I wanna try to get it done as well.
Bob, this is just for the first road, or is this for both?
It's just for the first road.
In the circles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just so you two know, the impact fund were permit fees that Mid-American paid to upgrade their wind turbines in the county. So we kept that money aside and used it for economic development projects, including the I don't know what you call it down there.
Armstrong Industrial Park.
Yeah, the industrial park. I think that you know, some of the other projects that both the city and county do, sometimes even the state, they'll TIF those, and it takes 10 to 15 years for the county to collect property tax on those. If we're able to participate and just build a road, we can start seeing a return on our investments in a couple of years. Once he gets a house built, usually takes a year, because we pay in arrears, we'll start collecting those funds, and if 3 years it's built out, within 4 to 5 years, we can start seeing that $45,000 to $50,000 a year come into the county.
Are you selling any lots?
Yes, I plan on selling some of them.
Okay.
Yep.
So it could be built out earlier.
It could be built out earlier.
We'd work together on some kind of an agreement with our legal team and make sure that we hold Bob to the commitment of building so many homes, or so many homes get built on those lots in a certain period of time.
Correct, those terms would all be laid out within the developer's agreement.
What do you need to move forward with that, Matt?
Just the approval of the board of supervisors.
You need an amount?
An up to amount, I would think.
Well, I'm comfortable going up to 350,000. Will that help you, Bob?
I don't know if that's enough. For me to make it work, I think that you need to pay for the whole street has to be paid for, which is up to the 400 or 425.
Well, that's counting a
20.
What's a contingency?
Yeah, 20%. So but if you only agree to 350 and the contingency's higher, then that's gonna fall on me. I mean, is that?
Well, a contingency's there to make up for mistakes in engineering or stuff like that.
Well, you also have to.
Or the possible cost of, increased cost of work. That's not an automatic cost.
No, it's not, but at this point, these are just estimates from the engineers. I haven't got any hard bids. Now, you can't get hard bids on the job until you have, construction plans, which you don't get construction plans until I know, like the preliminary, and it has been approved. So, once I put it out for bid, then I'll know the exact amount. I mean, that's all I can say on that.
John Rasmussen, what's normal on contingency?
I think the stage he's at, 20, is probably pretty normal. He's got a lot of questions to answer yet in his designs.
I did talk to the engineers yesterday. We were out there on the property looking around, and he said, they're gonna pave some roads, in Harrison County, I believe. And they came in, they did come in where they thought they were going to, so. That doesn't mean these will, but his estimate, he thought was pretty good.
When we put together our capital plan, we set aside, although we've never ever spent any of it, some dollars for economic development. If we have 160 in the, if we have 160 in the impact fund, and over the, would you start building that this year, John, or Bob?
Talking to him yesterday, he didn't think I could get any, but, because I still have to go through the, planning commission, then back to you guys for the approval, then we have to get the work done. He didn't think I could get anybody in there right this spring to start moving dirt for any reasonable amount. So I was planning on putting the crops in this year, which is gonna be corn, using the shorter maturity corn, so they start harvesting the corn in September. Then I thought that'd give me enough time to get, bids out and get people lined up to start as soon as the crops are out.
So you're thinking this fall?
To build the road.
To start moving the dirt and build the roads, yeah.
And then your utilities will be in there.
They don't put the utilities in until the road's in, typically. At least when I did Stony Brook, I believe the power company came in after the roads were in.
Is Stony Brook asphalt?
Concrete.
Okay. Trying to think of which.
Concrete.
There's one that's asphalt, a little closer to town, I believe.
So this will deplete the impact fund for this year until we start getting TIF payments in next year. At 54,000 a year.
Those are funds that can only be, I think we set that up, they can only be spent on rural projects, right?
Correct.
This is rural, so.
Well, Bob, if you take a look at your estimate on the pavement and on the cul-de-sacs, you're at about 350,000. So if you take a 20% contingency, it gives you 70.
That's where I came up with the 425. Like I say, it may be 350 until I get the bid. You can't hold anybody to anything until they give you a bid and, you sign off on it.
You don't do concrete work, do you?
Not streets, no.
That would have to be built to secondary road standards. What is that, 66-foot wide right away?
7 inches of concrete, I believe, isn't it, John?
Yeah, the 66-foot right away, yeah. Roadway.
Well, we still need to work out an agreement. With 160 in there, I'm okay going up to 420,000 for the road. Knowing full well that it could be less. And if you can get the road done in the fall, they can start putting houses on them. Probably not this fall, but probably next spring.
For sure.
Is this
So you'll
close to
have-
the water line that's coming down?
No water close to it.
A question, okay, so Plan 1, you got Plan 1, you get right next to is Plan 2. How soon after Plan 1 will you envision Plan 2 starting to happen?
Typically, I'd like to get it so I could continue building. So within a couple of years, and I think there is a time limit, isn't there, Matt, once you start?
Right, we have to renew the plat. If it just went through preliminary plat, we have to renew it annually.
So after the first couple of years, if there's 7 or 8 houses in there, then we'll get started on phase 2.
I used to live a Trainer for many years, and I was always impressed with the housing additions that are happening along Highway 92. And I'm gonna say, you got Plan 1, you got Plan 2, and probably look forward to Plan 3, 4, 5, right on 92, am I right?
It's a popular place. I mean,
Yes, it certainly
it's a great location.
Brian, I'll make a motion to provide up to $420,000 for the road to the Stony Brook addition, pending a favorable agreement between both the developer and Potawatomi County.
I'll second that. Got a motion and a second
Wait
to
a second.
approve.
Can I add something to that? I want to use $160,000 of the impact fund, and if we get another payment, we'll use that, but the rest of it, we can take it either out of, we won't have to worry about that for a year, but out of either gaming or the land fund, if that's okay.
You still second?
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve up to 420 on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Jason Slack. How you guys doing this morning?
Good, how are you?
Good.
fence.
Okay, Jason, you got some stuff to do in the basement, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking for the board's help on some of the soft costs associated with the courthouse addition. First one being the fencing to separate storage areas in the basement. We went out and I devised this layout in the basement myself, and it checks out with everyone's storage needs requests. And then we went ahead and got 3 bids based on this design. And low bid was Acreage Fence, and their bid was $37,808.91.
Why do you need, the only body that's gonna have any access to this is the county employees, right?
County employees that have storage, they have a reason to be in.
Why do we need an 8-foot tall fence?
Well, the shelving units are probably gonna be 8 foot tall to go in there, but it goes right up to the, the ceiling height. We could go with a shorter fence. I've revised the bid.
I don't see, I mean, there's probably some records that the auditor may have that could have a sensitive touch to them.
County attorneys have storage down there too.
Courts.
I don't need to have every single employee having access to climb over a 6-foot fence. I mean, if I don't have it, then it's not secure storage unless it's secure storage. So if it's not secure storage, then I'd have to put stuff down there that's not secure. But if a 10-year-old kid could climb over the fence, then that's not secure storage.
Well, I mean, if we have employees that are allowed to even go down there, they aren't gonna climb a fence. 6 foot's plenty.
Where is this material
Tim,
stored
it's
now?
not a question of will they. At some point, we've got just say I've got a post-conviction case that's 20 years old, and I've got to establish that our files have been secure for the past 20 years and nothing's been taken in or put out of those files in 20 years. And if I have to go into court and tell somebody that they've been in a location where any employee could have scaled that fence, then I'm just telling you it's not secure storage. So I can figure out other places to put stuff, but for my stuff, it is not secure unless it's secure. I would think the auditor, if they've got confidential information, whether it's dates of birth or whether it's, driver's license information or payroll information, anything that would be considered confidential. If you've got anybody that's got anything that's potentially HIPAA issues, people get access to that, and I guarantee you the impact to the county will be a lot more. Would you say that was 37,000?
Yeah.
If you get 28,000 that you save $9,000 and cost yourself $500,000 in a HIPAA violation, I would say that's a bad choice. So it's your call. I will know what it looks like, and if it's not secure, I will not put secure stuff down.
If we're gonna do this, I believe we should go, as you've instructed, to the ceiling. I really do. I agree with you. There's a lot of stuff from the auditor, communications, assessor, everybody. Maybe there's a few things in planning and public health,
If somebody wants in there, they're not gonna climb it anywhere, they're gonna cut a hole in the fence. So the only way to actually make it 100% secure is build some walls. So the 8-foot fence doesn't do anything for me. 6 foot's plenty, but whatever you want.
I disagree. I say we go 8 foot.
8 foot just goes to the bottom of the fire sprinkler in the basement. So there probably are areas that can be scaled down there, but that 8 foot gets us, below the lowest utility down there in the basement.
Where are these types of records being kept now? Are they?
Right now, they're in steel storage containers out here in the services building lot and the Veterans Affairs parking lot. We moved them out of the services building before we demolished it, and we've got temporary storage containers right now.
You check on them once in a while?
Yeah, we're in and out of them every now and then, yep.
There's 230 and 520, or who's
Those are extra So a lot of times we get furniture, file cabinets, different office furnishings from departments, and it's too good to really throw away or give away. It'd be nice to have an area to keep that stuff so other departments can utilize that.
Okay.
Well, I certainly recognize the concerns that the county attorney would have over his records, and if the county auditor has those same concerns, I certainly recognize those concerns. I would be in favor of making these areas secure, for me.
I'm questioning, we have to keep ballots for 22 months from a general election. And they might have to be kept separate from the payroll's financial records. I don't know if I might need divisions within the auditor's storage.
That can be accommodated
Yeah.
at that
I
time.
might need another locked cage, I don't know. I'll have to talk to staff and see whether we can put it all in one unit or whether we need to keep it separate.
Where do you have it now?
There's in, the finance and, stuff is in one storage container. The election, ballots are in another storage container. There are two of them down there.
Would all of it fit into one?
Would it? I don't know. I haven't been down there in a while to see what's all in there.
Never mind, I was just trying to.
I don't know. It would fit in there. It's just a matter of being able to get back to the
So
back.
is it a matter of not fitting?
Well, it's a matter of how
Separation?
secure is it if somebody from finance has access to ballots? That's the question. Would somebody from elections have access to payroll records?
Has everybody been down there to the basement to look this over?
No, I have not.
I went down there with Jason, and the way he's got it laid out, I think is a good plan. And I really think if we're gonna do this, let's go 8 foot, let's do it all and be done with it.
You only get one bidder, huh?
I got 3 bids on it.
That was a low bid.
Yeah, there's a bid tab on
There it
the
is, I see it,
next page.
I see it, yeah.
And you mentioned this is one of the soft costs, so where do these funds come from?
That would probably come from gaming or something. We don't have any in the, urban renewal yet, do we? For this,
I believe there's funds in there to cover that.
in urban renewal?
If Mitch was here, he would be able to tell us for sure, but I think there's funds to cover that. You don't have that in your budget, do you, Jason?
I don't, that's why I'm coming to you guys for this.
Is your recommendation to move forward with 8-foot fence?
It is.
You know, if somebody wants in, they're gonna cut the fence anyway, right?
True.
Okay, so it's really not 100% secure.
It isn't, but it's also, you know, we can configure it, if our storage needs change in the future, fencing is easier to configure than a wall per se.
Somebody can bring it along.
Yeah,
Will
that's
there
my
be
question.
security cameras down there?
There will be, yeah, I even put them on the drawing where they're gonna be.
How many locked doors would I have to get through to get to my cage?
Well, the cage is 1, and then the one getting into the basement would be 2.
Okay, and to get into your area, is there?
Into the buildings and grounds area?
Yeah.
There'd be a locked door up there too.
Okay, so from my office to get to my cage, I'd have to go through 2 doors and,
Yeah.
When you go down
Well,
the
if you
elevator.
count the elevator would be 1, and then your cage would be the second.
okay.
So a minimum of 2, but if you go either of the other directions, it'd be 3.
I'm just trying to figure out how secure it is, how many locked doors.
The old badge control.
Yeah.
Yep.
The elevator's gonna be controlled down there?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a card access elevator.
Okay.
You might not have to worry about the elevator because that requires, permission to, use your badge to get down there. I'd have to send an escort with you.
Probably should.
No kidding. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So I'll make a motion to
Okay.
do the 8-foot fence.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve an 8-foot fence in the basement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Tim, did you vote?
Reluctantly.
I didn't hear you. Okay. Jason Slack. Again, discussion or decision, proposal for storage and, oh, that's the fencing, I'm sorry. Storage area, shelving.
So, one of the issues that we had over in the services building with the shelving and the storage was everybody had different type of shelving. Some of it was homemade and some of it wasn't very safe. Some of it was actually just a safety hazard. I proposed that we standardize the shelving, weight rated shelving, and purchase some shelving for the storage areas down there for county offices. If we went ahead and purchased 2 storage racks for each storage area down there, we're looking at probably $12,000 for this, if we go with this storage shelving.
Where's the bid on that, Jason?
The bid?
Yeah.
It's in the packet, it's.
I'm not seeing it.
I didn't see a number. I just seen,
Per shelving unit is $574, and it's got a 278 pound weight rating on it. We use this shelving in, for the recorder's area.
How much is that?
Well, if we purchase 2 for each storage area, we're looking at, I think, was it 12?
Is that in your budget, Jason?
It is not, no.
what'd you come up with? 13 something?
Yeah, I come up with 11, what was it? Yeah, roughly 12,000.
So the shelving that's currently being used in this off-site storage is,
Most of the shelving isn't existent anymore. I think we might have saved some of the storage units, or some of the shelving units, but for the most part, we don't really have shelving for any storage. A lot of times in the services building, you'd go in there and it would just be boxes stacked to the ceiling and no shelving.
Yeah, in the services building, I don't know if you ever went in that room, it was a safety hazard and the boxes was leaning over because they've been stored there for years and years. So I kind of agree with Jason about having a standard set of shelving, because if you have temporary shelving or homemade shelving, it becomes a nightmare and risk in there, so. And I think I got pictures from when I first got here and looked in that storage room. It was
This would also
Pretty
be
scary.
funded through the
pretty scary.
urban renewal.
Yeah, I'm keeping tabs. I'll give we'll have Mitch give us an update on it.
Okay,
I mean, that's 50,000.
sure.
8-foot shelves?
They're 8 foot high, 2 foot wide.
120 inch shelf.
I think we're,
Do they connect to one another then?
They would.
It's just a matter of getting a banker box out of the 8-foot top shelf.
Well, we wouldn't stack them on the top shelf. That would be
Lighter stuff.
too high anyways.
We're good.
For the ceiling.
Matt Wyatt or Mark Shoemaker to help.
Yeah.
Okay.
where's the recorder in this plan, Jason?
We already have the recorder their spot. They're in the basement of the B-wing. They're underneath the community services.
Now this is, this is an 8-foot tall shelf.
It is, yeah.
Can you lower that top shelf down so you can use that?
Yeah, we would.
Okay, good.
And then, you don't see the state pictured in any of these plans, but we have to provide the state storage area. I met with Laura, and Teresa, kind there with the state. They came down and checked the area out that Buildings and Grounds is currently occupying. They said that that area would be big enough to meet their needs, even though it's less square footage than what they had in the services building. So the area that the Buildings and Grounds is occupying in the basement right now would go to the state courts for storage for their evidence and their, all their stuff.
Where are they in a container now then?
They are, yep.
That'll be controlled also,
Yep.
secure.
Yep.
Well, they were working on cleaning out those files in that gym that's upstairs. If they move forward with that, they might not need any space anywhere else.
That'd be wonderful, but I don't think that's the case.
I'll have a talk, I'll discuss it a little bit with them and see where they're at with it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Motion?
And we don't have an actual invoice yet, this is all just.
No, it would be up to $12,000 for shelving.
Well, I make that motion that we spend up to $12,000 on shelving for the storage in the basement.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve shelving for this new storage area. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I have a question real quick. Okay, there are books, thick books, old
Yes.
books in the 1800s and whatever, right in here.
You seen that?
Are there gonna be any storage for that? I'm guessing they're worth keeping, but certainly they're deteriorating.
I was talking to Jeanette about it yesterday. We need to get them scanned and then we can store them down in the auditor's storage.
Okay.
Since-
they'd go to the recorders.
Yeah.
if
If there's room there.
Yeah,
But
they may have some room in there still, Melvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And these would be historical documents. Is there any better way to preserve them than, humidity control, that kind of thing, or is that necessary? I don't know.
We're keeping them climate controlled. What we've done in that basement storage area where the recorder's books are sitting, we've removed the fire sprinkler in there, and we removed the wet system, and we put in a gas suppression system in that space, so the books won't get wet if there is a fire. It's climate controlled. There really isn't much else that we can do.
We should get it in something fireproof. I mean, that's the history of the county. I just saw those first time yesterday.
That's why you need to get them scanned, and some of it has, and some of it has been on microfilm, and you can get those digitized too. So we were looking at that a year ago with ArcaSearch. That kind of fell through, so we can find some other
Okay,
outfit to take care of that.
next up, quote for window coverings for the courthouse addition. Go ahead, Jason.
So Craftsman Window Coverings was low bid for the courthouse renovation project when we got bids for blinds over there. I went ahead and just called Craftsman Window Coverings this time because they can match the existing material that we purchased last time. And their bid to do the windows in the B-wing, and it wouldn't include the upper windows in that lobby, it just would be like Matt's area and then a couple windows down in the buildings and grounds area for $6,476.
Is that in your budget? Okay. So we're at 50, 56, almost 57.
One-time cost.
It'll finish it out, that's for sure. We need it.
Did you talk to Matt about it?
I did not.
Has he seen them?
No,
Does he pick the color?
he did not. We're matching the color with the rest of the courthouse. I want to keep continuity there.
It'll be the same.
Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Motion to approve of a window coverings for $64.76. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Did you vote?
I didn't oppose it, did I?
Does that mean yes?
Abstain.
Okay. Are you done?
I'm all done.
Thanks a lot.
Jason, do me a favor, would you get one of you guys up here and get this clock changed for us?
Sure.
I'll change it. I'll change it.
Okay.
You don't have to send a buildings and grounds guy up to change
Wait a
it.
second.
Jason, when are we taking down that ramp enclosure?
Saturday.
Awesome. Do we sell the wood or?
No, we didn't purchase the wood. The wood's on loan. It's rented to us.
Oh.
So, yeah, it'll be gone.
Do we need to let the city know we're taking it down?
I wasn't gonna communicate that. I was just gonna take it down.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to see that
Don't get
coming
us in
down.
trouble. Watch him, Ben.
Might wanna check the weather.
Yeah, Saturday might not be perfect, but.
That's their problem, right?
Yeah.
Not yours.
Well, yeah.
Good deal. That's good. We're getting it down. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yep.
David Bayer, Chief Information Officer, Information Technology, discussion and/or decision to approve updated IT support definition policy.
You need a taller person.
Go ahead, David.
Sure. So this is a policy that we use to define what we do, what we don't do in IT. It's good to have boundaries. With technology, it's easy to scope creep or go outside the boundaries. So that's what this policy is for. We created it initially in 2013, last updated in 2016. So it's due to be re-looked at, which is what I did. And basically, the main changes are, it lists the customers that we support, and several were changed over time, since last time we looked at this policy. Personal use UPS devices were addressed, copiers, printers, security cameras, general clarity, things like that were made changes. I sent that to you last week sometime. So if you've got any questions, certainly let me know.
Looks like you covered everything in there.
And the reason I bring it to the board is I want you to understand what IT does for the county as well.
David, the only question I had was on the equipment recycling or sale. We've got leases. What do we do when don't we have leases on some of our equipment?
Not within IT, the copy machines are leases.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
so those would go back to that vendor. Bishop is our vendor, so they would just replenish those or take those off-site and then put a new one in at the time of the lease's end. And that was a 5-year lease done about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, so.
And then, this will be, I guess, discussed or disseminated to these, I don't know, what do you refer to them, third parties that you do some stuff for?
Yes, yep, if you were to approve this, then I would put this on the intranet and then shoot an email out to the department heads and all those affected by this to make sure they knew. And some of the departments, the ones with asterisks next to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They get something less with different agreements. For example, DHS would just do their phones. We don't do other things with them.
You still are doing their phones though, huh?
Yes.
I thought they all got new phones. Or what are we doing for
The
state?
courts got new phones, but not DHS.
We're not doing courts phones though, right?
Correct, we're out of that business
What
as
are we
of
doing?
January.
What are we doing for them still?
We do Wi-Fi on the floor, but it really benefits the attorney's office really more than them, but it happens to be on their floor. We have the digital court or court solution where they can, the judges can talk with inmates
Yeah.
remotely. Video court, I guess is what we call it.
Then there was one, what was it, Carter Lake?
Carter Lake Police Department.
Yeah, we work with them on network connectivity. They use our Central Square, or Zerker is what it used to be
Okay.
called, Central
Okay.
Square Software, so we have to make sure that's accessible by them.
And Avoca's still got somebody out there.
We have a computer at the Avoca Courthouse.
Oh, okay.
Avoca Police Department, yes, there is one police officer.
Don't we have a copier out there too?
There is a copier out there.
Yes.
No, yep.
Okay.
So by doing this, and we have an agreement with them, what does that do for us?
What does the agreement do? It really is just do both sides agree that this is what we're doing for you? Outside of that, it's really a boundary setter. It's not there's not any hand slapping that's gonna happen if anyone does anything off the policy or whatever. But, it's just to define what we do for them.
Okay.
And those get reviewed periodically.
Matt, did you look this over by chance?
The IT policy? No.
Okay.
It's your recommendation to approve it, right, David?
It is my recommendation, yeah.
All right, I'll move
That's
that
a good assumption.
I appreciate you sending it out in advance, so I had time to really study it before the
Sure.
board meeting.
Had to.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve this policy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Thanks for coming in, Ben. Okay, discussion under decision to approve the workforce development contract for fiscal year '24. Everybody look that over?
I've got some questions. So it came from the Chamber of Commerce, and it looks like it's specific to the Home Base Iowa program.
Okay.
Is this all new? Is this something that was just created because someone
No, the
isn't doing?
home base has been around a while,
Right.
and
Who monitored it before?
that's a good question.
Who monitored what, Susan?
The Home Base Iowa program.
That happened probably about 3 or 4 years ago. There was a push from WIDA to
Correct.
make
No.
that home base Iowa.
Yeah, Justin was working with WIDA.
And
for
then,
each city.
this workforce development, it's an agreement with the chamber to, put a person in place to work with our companies on, and Iowa Western Community College to provide programs for, our workforce when businesses come and they're looking for employees. I think it's well worth it. They can come and present if you'd like. Drew and Alicia.
She was in here not too long ago.
Yeah.
Was not the home base deal something to do with veterans too?
I think that was what it was.
They recommended you hired veterans.
Yeah, so it really doesn't,
More of an advertising
It's
campaign,
not
I
about
think,
the
marketing.
home base Iowa.
Well, there's a lot of emphasis in this contract that would lead you to believe it's specific to home base programming. And I just wondered who was doing the home base monitoring before the Chamber of Commerce stepped up to take it over. I mean, was there a lapse or was there a void in that?
And I think it's always been the chamber, I think, for,
But this is the first time we've ever signed this contract, right? Or is
No.
this a renewal for
It's a
something
renewal.
that we've done?
And that is in our
Previously.
budget, I believe.
I think it's a renewal.
It is a renewal. This is our second year in this.
I'd guess maybe third, fourth maybe.
Remember when it came about?
I don't have any issues with it at all. If you want a motion, I'll move that for you.
And you say it's already in our budget that we're approving?
It is.
But Tim, you also, or somebody mentioned that maybe inviting this organization here to do a presentation, kind of get us all up to speed on it.
Yeah, she was in here not too long ago.
In the chamber.
Alicia
About a
was.
month ago.
The chamber, and she's here with the chamber.
No, it was probably in the December range, wasn't it? When they came, anyway, I don't know. I can tell you that if you ask them to come and make a presentation, they'll come.
I have no
Okay.
idea really what it's all about.
It might be good to have that workforce development defined a little better for you. Okay? Okay, there's a motion on the table to approve this for 50,000.
Your second?
Second. This is out of gaming.
Okay. Got a motion and a second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I've got one more question.
Okay,
So this is a CB Chamber initiative, but it's for the entire county, correct?
That is correct.
It doesn't trip over Advanced Southwest Iowa or,
No, they're an economic development arm. This is workforce development.
well, they kind of go hand in hand.
and through the WIDA deal, I know it went through the little
Says
towns too.
report quarterly to the Pot County Board of Supervisors on related activities.
And you're saying that they did that report in December?
I
Okay.
thought they did.
It wasn't that long ago. I think I was chair when she was here.
Oh, so it was after the first of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Yep.
You would have remembered it. It could have been done since January, but.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she talks pretty fast.
Yeah,
Lisa does.
they sat over there
Yeah.
and yes, and Drew fired off stuff really, really fast. I remember them being here.
She had a handout and.
Yeah, you were here.
I was here. All right, ready to vote.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, committee appointments. Some of the meetings we went to.
I attended the Golden Hills Resource meeting and basically that was all I did last week.
I met with the committee for the Google representatives. Went to the tourism meeting out in Oakland. Was headed to ISAC and got into a snowstorm and I think we all were, weren't we?
Yes.
And then Friday had a Board of Health meeting and that's what I did. Did you go to any committee meetings?
No.
Okay,
This week.
Tim?
I'm good.
Don't want to say nothing, huh? Okay. Public comments. Anybody sign up for public comments?
No.
Okay.
With that, Brian, I will make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5, parent 1, parent J, for discussion decision on purchase or sale of a particular real estate.
Second.